All right, so I recently came across a YouTuber called James Larcey, and he has some videos on non-duality. In particular, the ones that I watched a couple of his videos. They were on the Headless way, and so he gave some of his, background and experience with it. And the first thing that struck me off the bat was, I like this guy. He's got a genuineness to him that I really appreciate, and he has definitely, it's obvious he's taking great care in his explanations and descriptions of certain practices to bring about the realization of non-duality. And so I enjoyed the videos I watched, and as I was reflecting on the second one, it occurred to me that what it seemed like he was talking about was what Christopher Wallis refers to in Tantra Illuminated. The book is the first level of non-duality, right? There's 2 levels to this game. And so at the first level of non-duality, we recognize, oh, it's not dual. I thought it was dualistic. I thought everything was, made of opposites and others and selves and, distinctions and all these things. It's really just one dynamic. And that's not me, right? It's kind of like he was suggesting, at least from what I gathered. And I'm not saying anything derogatory whatsoever about him, because what he was likely doing is taking us logically through these steps, building a foundation. So first sensing, oh, all these things that I'm aware of, all these sensations, all these, beliefs, ideas, opinions, thoughts, memories, and things, they're not me. They're not what I am. They're what I'm aware of. And so we have that detached sense of what I'm seeing as a dualistic reality is not actually the case. And it's one whole appearance that's appearing to this screen of awareness, which I am. But the candle that burns on the screen of the movie theater doesn't burn the screen. So one's real and one is not. However, if we go deeper into this, as I'm hoping he is, trying to guide people towards. I'm not sure. I have no judgments. Like I said, I've only watched a couple of his videos. Oh, and by the way, if you're wondering why I got this kind of weird situation going on, well, I just recently got my studio area back as I was lending it to my daughter. And so now I'm back here, but nothing's really set up. So I'm just kind of impromptu doing a quick video. I hope you guys understand. And in any case, back to our thoughts. So the second level of non-duality is, I think, and I don't know if even Christopher Wallis points to this exactly. It's been a while since I read that book. Actually read it a number of times, but it's fantastic, and I highly recommend that book as well as the Pratyabhijna Hridayam commentary and translation that he wrote. I believe it's called the Recognition Sutras. Yeah, all available on Amazon and all your things. I'm not directly affiliated with Christopher Wallis in any way, although after starting to study the research and work that he developed, I discovered that he's actually from the same lineage as I am, which was pretty cool. That was a neat little Easter egg that I realized, and I was listening to him speak actually in the Recognition Sutras. And I was like, I'm not really sure if I'm into this. He's a little bit of a brainiac, and I'm not really sure if I'm feeling, the connection, let's say. And then I was like, well, maybe that's just a preconceived notion. And then he started to explain his rationale for why he presented things in this way, and his the level of research that he was trying to put out and things, and the way that he did it. And so it all kind of made sense. I ended up, really learning a lot from his work and and have a great deal of respect for him as a researcher and as a student of Shaiva Tantra. Yes. So, nonetheless, the second level of non-duality, I think, has to do with embodiment. In the first level, we see, oh, it's an illusion, it's not what I am, it's not real. It's not actually this and that, self and other, all these opposites. That's all an illusion. I am this awareness, this blank canvas onto which all these images are projected. But the masters of Shaiva Tantra took this another step. They said, well, this energy of creation, this manifestation that we call Maya, the illusion, right? Or the simulation, we could call it in today's terms. The world, the simulation, Maya, illusion, all synonymous. So this simulation, this world, this Maya, this illusion that we're experiencing, not real, in this worldview of the first level of non-duality, and certain levels of, Vedic understandings and things, we could say, predating Shaiva Tantra, Kashmir Shaivism, etc., the non-dual schools. So sometimes there's just a pause in the transmission, and we just have to honor it. Can't force it. Don't know what is next to be said. So I would prefer that the train would pick up, but it's on its own track. Embodiment. The second level of non-duality involves embodiment. And this is the point whereby the sense of self, your self-energy, your aliveness, your beingness, your awareness, your consciousness, your being. It's when it reaches a capacity to where it overflows. Often through spiritual practices, through perhaps revelation, through divine grace and things. But there has to be this energy, this capacity behind it. And it reaches a certain level, and then it has no other option but to break through, to spill over. It's your sense of self spilling over into creation and merging with it. And as it does this, you become the simulation, you become Maya, you become the illusion. Well, now it's no longer an illusion per se, it's you manifesting as all of this. And that's something quite different. That's embodiment. That's real. That's being. Isness. So this is where we want to get to. This is ultimately where we want to be. At least I don't know, ultimately. That's sort of brazen, right? But it's beyond just the detachment of recognizing the illusion. That's good, that's great, that's amazing, that's incredible. To just do that took these masters thousands of years to understand the process and foundational structure of that realization, so they could then teach it to others, have it as a framework of transformation and personal evolution through the stages of enlightenment. But I don't know anywhere that it goes so deep as within these non-dual schools. And there are modern ones as well. Some of them have roots in these old schools, probably most of them, but they have taken on a new expression to fit the times. But that shift, when things let go, when everything lets go, and this can happen spontaneously, you don't do it. It happens, it bursts forth, explodes into the simulation, merges with your experience so that you and your experience are one. You don't lose yourself, you gain the world. You become everything. Man, if I hadn't had that brain fart, I probably would have finished this video at exactly 11 minutes and 11 seconds. But as it stands, here we are at 2:1:12. Thanks for staying if you've watched this far. I would love to hear from you. Drop me a comment. If you want to check out James Larcey, Larcey, I will do my best to leave a link. But this may be a short you're watching, so I don't know. There may not be a link attached. You can check him out and then tell me what you think. Aside from that, I would be super stoked if you liked this video and or subscribed. You're not obligated to. This is me just putting these ideas and thoughts out there, hopefully for the benefit of others like yourself. So if it did resonate with you, I would super happy appreciate it. And until next time, my friends, it's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. I appreciate you putting up with my lack of, I don't know, absolute professionalism. I am doing my best over here, but hey, life happens and we gotta work with it as it shows up. And that's probably another lesson in there that we could talk about on a future video. Because right now in this moment, we're all just in whatever situation we're in. And there's places where we have some expansion and some openness, and there are probably some other places where there's some darkness or some holding on or some grief or something just churning under the surface that is uncomfortable, we'd like to be free of. So the beauty of recognizing the truth of non-duality, we could say, or holding this viewpoint until it becomes real to you, is that you get to be sovereign. You get to actually be the arbiter of your own awakening, enlightenment, and freedom. This is what I love about it. It's not up to anyone else. You don't need a savior. There are many amazing, incredible beings, God, saints, angels, deities that can help us along the way. But ultimately, it's up to us. We have to find a path where we can ascend. And there are many paths, but if the path of non-duality has called to you for whatever reason, this is the path you're on, I think it's an incredibly rewarding and rich path, because the beauty of it is that you don't have to take anyone else's word for it. You will ultimately know these truths to be self-evident within your own being. So, thanks for watching. Appreciate you guys. I will see you on another one real soon, and until then, be excellent. Much love.